Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Radhanata Radha, Radhanata Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Shri Gaura Hari ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudinvayat. Shrinvata Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Ridyantasto hi Abhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home, Text 22. Tam Eva Vatsasraya Britya Vatsalam Mumukshubhir Mrigya Padabja Padatim Ananya Bhave Nija Dharma Bhavite Manasi Avasthapya Bhajasva Purusham Tameva Vatsasraya Brita Vatsalam. Mumukshubhirmigya padabja padatim Ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite Manasya vasthapya bhajasva purusham Tameva vatsasraya bhritya vatsalam Mumukshubhirmigya padabja padatim Ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite Manasya vasthapya bhajasva purusham Tameva vatsasraya bhritya vatsalam Mumukshubhirmigya padabja padatim Ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite Manasya vasthapya bhajasva purusham Prabhus. Tameva vatsrastraya bhritya vatsalam Mumukshubhirmigya padabja padatim Ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite Manasya vasthapya bhajasva purusham Tameva vatsrastraya bhritya vatsalam Mumukshubhirmigya padabja padatim Ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite Manasya vasthapya bhajasva purusham Tameva vatsrastraya bhritya vatsalam Mumukshubhirmigya padabja padatim Ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite Manasya vasthapya bhajasva purusham Tam him Eva also Vatsa my dear boy Ashraya take shelter Bhritya Vatsalam of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is very kind to his devotees. Mumukshubhi also by persons desiring liberation. Mrigya to be sought. Pada abja lotus feet. Padatim system. Ananya bhave in an unflinching situation. Nija dharma bhavite being situated in one's original constitutional position. Manasi unto the mind. Avasthapya placing. Bhajasva go on executing devotional service. Purusham the Supreme Person. Translation. My dear boy, you should also take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Persons seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart, and without deviating for a moment, engage always in His service. Please repeat, my dear boy, you should also take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to His devotees. Person seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death, always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service, becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation. Just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart, and without deviating for a moment, engage always in His service. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The system of Bhakti Yoga described by Queen Suniti to her son is the standard way of God realization. Everyone can continue in his constitutional occupational duties and at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. This was also instructed by the Lord Himself to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Go on fighting, but keep me within your mind. That should be the motto of every honest person seeking perfection in Krishna consciousness. In this connection, Queen Suniti advised her son that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhritya Vatsala, which indicates that He is very kind to His devotees. She said, "You came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. But Krishna is so kind to His devotees that if you go to Him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by His affectionate and tender dealings. When everyone else fails to mitigate one's misery, Krishna is able to help the devotee." Queen Suniti also stressed that the process of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not easy, but is sought after by great sages who are very advanced in spiritual realization. Queen Suniti also indicated by her instruction that Dhruva Maharaj was only a small child, 5 years old, and it was not possible for him to purify himself by the way of karma kanda. But by the process of Bhakti Yoga, even a child less than 5 years old or anyone of any age can be purified. That is the special significance of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, she advised him not to accept worship of the demigods or any other process, but simply to take to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the result would be all perfection. As soon as one places the Supreme Personality of Godhead within one's heart, everything becomes easy and successful. Om Agyanat Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uthapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear boy, you also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to His devotees. Persons seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart, and without deviating for a moment, engage always in His service. Hare Krishna. So, as always, before I speak, I ask the devotees to please bless me, that I may say something that is in line with Srila Prabhupada as well as pleasing to the ears and heart. So, Suniti is continuing her instructions to Dhruva Maharaj. And based on the manner in which she is speaking and the instructions and how she is advising him, we get some idea of Suniti's exalted consciousness. Suniti was in a position where she could have said anything to Dhruva, and in some way she would have been justified. She was, even though she was the elder queen to Uttanapad, she was the less favored. And she was not very much appreciated by him, and therefore her son was insulted. So naturally, she could have said something to misguide Dhruva, to take revenge or something as such, but she didn't do that, which shows the nature of her character, her exaltedness. And one thing we understand that in some way, yes, Dhruva's pain has some justification in some way, because it's very painful when hurt comes from within your family. We expect hurt, we expect pain, we expect quarrel from the outside. That is natural. But when we look at our family, especially when we look at a mother figure or parental figure, we expect shelter from such people. And that is what, if you look in the world today, that's what actually causes the most pain, is that we are hurt by our near and dear or our family instead. And, we're not expecting it, but it is there. That is the nature of the material world. That actually someone I thought who is a shelter for me is actually not a shelter. And that is the most painful thing. So Suniti is telling Dhruva actually that your only shelter is God. I'm your mother, but even I cannot do anything for you. You should not expect anything from me. I can't help you in any way. You have no other shelter, Dhruva, not even me. So, your only shelter is Krishna and you should go to him. But also, Dhruva, you should give up your anger with Suruchi. The fault is not with Suruchi for showing that she is actually not your shelter. The fault in some way is with you for thinking that she was your shelter, for expecting this. And you know that this is the nature of the material world, that there is no one else who is your well-wisher but Krishna. And we know, even in our own lives, when something goes wrong or we have some problem, we all go running. The natural tendency is we go running to our mothers. Mom, something happened, I made a mistake, please help me, this and that. Even Prabhupada says that in this world, all the great acharyas, they come from mothers. Prabhupada emphasized once in a morning walk that this is the importance of the Grihastha ashram, that if there was no Grihastha ashram, where would all the saints come from? They wouldn't, just fall from the sky. No, they come from mothers. So this is the importance of a mother. And of course, this sentiment of loving relationship and exchange is important in the process of bhakti, because bhakti in itself is full of sentiment, it's full of emotion. Devotion can only come from emotion. Because we are sentient beings, we are spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna, with feelings, with emotions. So naturally we want that wherever we go. And why does Srila Prabhupada say that when we chant the Mahamantra, we should cry out for Krishna just as a child is crying out for the mother? Because, a good mother, in Kali Yuga, who knows what you'll get based on your karma. But a good mother is very much in tune with the needs of the child. The child will just, if you see a baby, they'll just cry in a particular way and the mother will know what the child needs. Oh, the child is hungry, the child needs a nap, and so on and so forth. So we should cry out for Krishna in this way, because when we cry out, Krishna is in tune with our needs. So he'll hear and he'll say, oh, I can see what you're needing. And Prabhupada is saying in the purport that Krishna's love, Krishna's affection is the same as, millions of mothers. Suniti is saying that, what to speak of me, if you approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has the love of millions of mothers like me. And we know in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that if you do even the tiniest thing for him, the smallest thing, he will remember it for all of eternity. He will remember that one tiny thing you've done. And this is the greatness of Krishna's love, that you do one tiny thing and he will remember it forever. And this is ultimately what will keep us going. Those tiny, tiny little things that we do for Krishna. We obviously come with our conditioning and our material desires and our doubts, our failings. But if we continue doing tiny things for Krishna, they will add up in his eyes, and he will take notice of us more and more. There's a song by one of the acharyas. I'm not sure if it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur or Narottam Das Thakur, but the line is, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dana Pran. That Krishna is my mother, Krishna is my father. Krishna Dana Pran, I think Krishna is my very life air. The air I breathe is Krishna. So why is Krishna compared to a mother? Another understanding is that because Krishna accepts the heart feeling of a devotee. Prabhupada says Krishna is called Bhavagrahi Janardana. That means Krishna always knows what's in the heart of a devotee, and that's always what he looks for. We may struggle, we may fight with him, we may have our doubts, but he knows what's in our heart. And he will focus on that. He won't focus on anything else. He'll say, oh, you have 1% faith in me, that's okay. I'll hold on to that 1% and I'll pull and I'll pull and I'll bring you closer just with that 1%. We see this in the pastime of Bali Maharaj and Vamana. That Bali Maharaj, externally, he was the king of the demons. And he was a disciple of Sukracharya. But why did Bali Maharaj receive such favor from the Lord? Because Vamana knew the sincerity of Bali Maharaj's heart. And that is what saved him in the end. And Krishna was so much taken by the love in Bali Maharaj's heart that Krishna himself becomes the doorkeeper or the gatekeeper to Bali Maharaj's palace in the lower planets where Bali Maharaj is residing. Krishna himself, Vamana, is his gatekeeper. So it is this genuine love and this genuine feeling for Krishna that will ultimately bind the heart of the devotee in love. So based on Suniti's instructions, again she keeps reiterating the same point. You take the essence of what Suruchi is saying and you use it to fuel your spiritual life. And basically, again, the essence is take shelter of Krishna. You have no other shelter within this universe. You can think of, there's an example given like a swan. Beautiful swan is swimming in a pond of water. And if you go and they're swimming in this pristine pool of water. And if you add milk obviously when you add milk to water, it changes, the color changes and you can see that. But the swan has some ability, I'm not sure how, that even though it's mixed, it can drink in such a way that it can take the milk only and not the water. So in this way, we should focus on what the essence is of spiritual life, what the principle is, and maybe not so much always get caught up in the details. We should remember what the essence is of spiritual life, and that is to remember Krishna, to never forget him, to always serve him, and to chant and follow the principles, the basic essence of spiritual life. And this will help us immensely. So in the purport, the first thing that Prabhupada says is that Bhakti Yoga is the standard, nothing else. Only Bhakti is the standard. And why is it the standard, especially for Kali Yuga? Because as we say in the morning when we say the offenses to the holy name, there are no hard and fast rules for chanting these names. There are no hard and fast rules for performing Bhakti Yoga. That we are so fallen in this age of Kali. And Krishna has given us something so sublime and so simple that even a child that is younger than 5 years old can achieve perfection if they do it sincerely. Even a child younger than 5 can make advancement. But why is that so? Because bhakti is coming from the Lord Himself. So there are no material bindings that can stop it or holding back. Nothing can impact it, in a sense that, like, no matter what your karma is, what your nature is, your predisposition for anything, you can perform bhakti. That's it. There's no prerequisite for it. You can do it. Anyone and anyone can do it. It doesn't matter, where you're from, how you're born, what your past was, what your future is going to be. It doesn't matter. You can serve the Lord wholeheartedly. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. So Prabhupada is saying that bhakti is the standard way. It is the recommended way for us. But as always, we are conditioned living beings and we are prone to make mistakes, and we are also prone to think that we know better. So we may not always want to do the standard thing, what is recommended. And this Prabhupada describes is what is called over-intelligence. Over-intelligence means that you have too much intelligence for your own good, that it ultimately brings you down because you think you know better. You think you know better, and then you end up doing something foolish and ending off, worse than when you began. But Krishna is so kind that even if we do that, He'll still be there and still love us and say, it's okay, you made a mistake, let's start again. And that is the nature of bhakti, that at whatever point you may stop at in this life, you will start from there in your next life. It's not like you fall all the way down the ladder and you have to start climbing again. You stay on the level that you are and you just keep going higher and higher. So basically, devotional service or love is the standard. And anything contradicting this cultivation of love for Krishna will not endear us to Him in any way. Krishna is only attracted by that sincere sentiment, by that love. Krishna doesn't find that attractive. Vairagya He doesn't find attractive. He finds bhakti attractive, devotion. And ultimately what we can understand from the purport and from what Suniti is saying in today's verse, Queen Suniti, about taking shelter, is that ultimately what I need to start believing and realizing practically is that Krishna is the solution to all problems. Krishna is the solution to all problems. Whether I have material desires or not, whether I'm doubtful or not, conditioned or not, whatever it is, I should take shelter and I should worship the Lord anyway. Because even if I have desires, I should still come to Him rather than go to anyone else, because Krishna has my back at the end of the day. And there is no, how do you say? It's not like a tit for tat situation, like you worship me so much, then I'll give you this. No, come as you are, offer me whatever you have, and I will give you so much because I see the sentiment behind what you're doing. So we can practice without qualification. And let's be honest, if we actually had to try and become qualified, like how long would it actually take us to reach, some basic level of decent humanity? It would take us a very, very long time. But Krishna is like, don't even wait for that. Whatever platform you are on, just come. This shows that bhakti is such a process that as we perform it, we become more purified. Why? Because, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, there's so much dust within the heart, and as we chant more and more, Krishna will, the mercy of the holy name and Mahaprabhu will clean the dust that has accumulated for years. Krishna is referred to as something very, very sweet in this verse. He is called Bhritya Vatsala, which means that he is very kind and he is very, very affectionate to his devotees. In the Bhagavad Gita, we know the verse, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, that if you offer Krishna with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, he will accept. Krishna is not Karmi Vatsala, he is not Jnani Vatsala, he is Bhritya Vatsala, or as we also know, Bhakta Vatsala, affectionate to the devotee. He is loving and kind to someone who has some affection for him. And also in the Gita we know he says that to one who knows me, they are situated in me and I am situated in them. So again, we see that this intimate relationship of reciprocation is there. And this is ultimately what the process of devotional service is, that we are cultivating an intimate relationship of reciprocation with the Lord. So we should also understand that if we ignore Krishna, he will ignore us. If we come to him just when we want something, well then he won't give us that much attention anyway, because there is no sentiment there, there is no feeling there. You know, it's like walking up to a stranger in the street and saying, hey, give me 10 rand. And you're like, who are you? You know, I don't know you. So it's like, why would they help you? So similarly, we should cultivate a relationship with Krishna that is based on something permanent, on something eternal, on love. And we should understand that Krishna is the origin of everything, you know, the primeval Lord, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Vadami. Primeval Lord Govinda, that Krishna is the origin of everything. So whatever I actually want, I can find within him. He is the source of everything. There is no scarcity or end with Krishna. It's not like, you know, when you go to the shop and you see something you like and you buy it, and you continue buying it, and after some time it may be discontinued, and then you'll never find it again. Krishna is not like that. He's not going to discontinue his affection or his love. It's always going to be there. You will find it, and you will find a never-ending supply of it forever. But, as the verse says, Ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite. Ananya bhave, we must be positioned in an unflinching situation. Unflinching means there is no doubt, there is no confusion. We must be convinced of our original constitutional position. We know in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jivera Swarupai Krishnera Nitya Das, the constitutional position of a living entity is to be a servant of Krishna. You're going to be a subordinate to someone no matter what, so you might as well be a subordinate to the best person in the world, who is Krishna. Nija dharma, the verse says, our prescribed occupational duty. Suniti is telling Dhruva that if you just engage in your prescribed duty in a unflinching way, you are assured of shelter and success. And we know what is the real Nija Dharma? That is to be engaged in service to Krishna, according to your nature. What your nature is, only you will know that. But you have to focus on what opens up your connection with Krishna and serve him in that way. And again, Ananya Bhave, without any other business. We only have one business as practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, and that is to engage in service to Krishna. That is to cultivate a mood of constant remembrance of Krishna. Because we know, based on our own thinking, that where the mind goes, the rest of us follow. Wherever your mind goes, you go in that direction. So if the mind is engaged in sense gratification, then naturally that's where you'll be. But if the mind is engaged in Krishna, that's where we'll be. That Suniti uses this word, bhajasva. Bhajasva means just go on doing devotional service. Just continue, just carry on doing devotional service. She is being very definite in her instruction. She's being very straightforward with Dhruva and telling him, this is what you have to do and this is the only thing you can do. She's not that kind of mother who's mollycoddling him. Like, her son came crying with all these tears. He was insulted so badly. She didn't say, oh, my son, don't worry. It's okay. We'll make a plan. Don't listen to Suruchi. She's just talking nonsense. No. She didn't do that to him. She just looked at him and she said, well, you're in distress, Dhruva. Only Krishna can help you. Only Krishna can help you. I can't help you. So you should go and take shelter of him. Go to the forest and go find him. Like if someone told us that, oh Krishna, what would you do? You'd probably be offended. But she was being very straightforward with him because she knew in the long run, this is the only way he's going to grow. He has to find Krishna and he has to do this. And Srila Prabhupada says that we can either turn towards Krishna or we can turn away from Krishna. We have two choices. You can turn towards from him, or you can turn towards Krishna, or you can turn towards Maya. The choice is yours at the end of the day. So we have a choice of shelter. And if you think about it, Dhruva was very, very sheltered in the palace. I mean, if he wanted, he could have just, I'm sure the palace was big enough that if he ignored Suruchi for the rest of his life, he wouldn't have had to see her or deal with her. He could have just carried on living in the palace. Or he could have decided, okay, the forest is a big place. I'm a really small guy. Maybe I should take a backup with me. I should take a warrior, in case a tiger comes and tries to eat me. Or maybe I should take a food pack. Or maybe I should make an arrangement that someone should deliver some prasadam for me, because it's all possible. He's a prince. He has all of this facility. But he didn't do that. He's like, no, Dhruva became very, very bold in his behavior. Why? Because even though he had a material desire and that was basically fueling him, he felt that finding Krishna was worth the risk. He thought, what do I have to lose? Let me give it a try. There's a saying, fortune favors the bold. So Dhruva became bold and he took a chance on Krishna. And this is why Bhritya Vatsala, this is why Krishna was so kind, because someone took a chance on him. Of course, if someone takes a chance on you, your sentiment and gratitude for the person really, really grows. So naturally, even if we come with material desires, but if we take a chance on Krishna, he gives us so much better than that. He just wants to see how much of a risk we're going to take on him. So Suniti's instructions are very succinct, very to the point, very direct, and very cutting in some ways. But this is why this pastime is obviously in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's there for a reason. There are so many pastimes, but this one is in the Bhagavatam. Why? Because the Srimad Bhagavatam presents the process of pure, unalloyed devotional service. That is what the Bhagavatam is concerned with, how to grow and achieve pure, unalloyed devotional service. That's all it focuses on ultimately. And this is what is coming out in her advice to Dhruva. And that's why we learn from this pastime. And what we can remember as well is when we read this pastime and when we remember Krishna's words in the Gita, we see the potency and the magic in Krishna's words to us. That if you sincerely do this, you become very dear to me. I mean, if you think about it, if you think of the Pandavas, at the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra, materially speaking, they had very little chance of winning the war. They were severely outnumbered by a good couple, million soldiers. I'm rough guessing there, but they were really, really outnumbered. I think the Kaurava army was almost double in size as compared to theirs. And the Kauravas had, the best of the best warriors on their side. Materially speaking, the Pandavas didn't have a good chance of winning. But because Krishna gave his word to the Pandavas, because Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas, and because the Pandavas were so dear to him, they won. So when Krishna is on our side, how can we not win? But we must understand that in order for that to happen, we must have unflinching faith in our prescribed duty, and that is service to the Lord. Because it is the prescribed activities that we do in service that keep us safe and keep us sane, ultimately, within the material world. We know, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, his prayer, Naham Vipro Nachanarapati Napi Vaishyo Nasudro, and this is our position, that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord of the Gopis. That is what our position is, and that is what the goal is to serve ultimately at the end of the day. So we must find ways to become attached to being a devotee of Krishna. And this is what will carry us through. Prabhupada says in the purport, right in the beginning, anyone can continue in his constitutional occupational duties and at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. So we go on with our day-to-day activities, but the difference is that we are conscious of Krishna at all moments. So we have to be mindful of where our attachment is, because where our attachment is where our desires come from. And we will never be completely desireless. That is not the nature of the spirit soul, to be desireless. We will always have desires. We will always want something. But we should be mindful of where our attachment is going. Because where our attachment goes, our mind goes. Where our mind goes, all of us go that way. So Prabhupada is saying, don't give up your responsibility or your action within the world, but offer them to Krishna. Do everything as an offering unto the Lord, or be in full consciousness of Krishna while doing your duty. Srila Prabhupada says that we already know how to be attached. It's not something we have to learn how to, have feelings or attachment or sentiment to something or someone. We know how to do this. From the moment of birth, we have attachment to, parents, guardians, family. So we know very well how to be attached, but we need to learn how to be attached to Krishna, how to use our attachment for Krishna. We may not be able to within this age, our nature is such that we can't follow the path of the Gyanis or something like that. But what we can do is we can love Krishna with affection, or try to love Krishna with affection. Because there is absolutely no situation in the world that we will be in where we cannot do bhakti in some way. There is no situation in the world where we will not be able to practice in some way. So bhakti is very natural to us because we are already engaged in activities of attachment and affection anyway within the world. But it's a matter of focusing it in a one-pointed way towards Krishna. Because as Prabhupada says again, Krishna is like the sun. And where there is the sun, Maya or darkness has no chance. So ultimately, always remember Krishna and never forget him. This is one thing we should try to cultivate. Even if that is the one and only thing we do in this life, we have to learn how to remember Krishna and never forget him. Because as practitioners of bhakti, we have to learn what is favorable for ourselves and what is unfavorable, and apply ourselves diligently in this way. At some point, we all have the desire to hopefully go back to Godhead, but our material desires are holding us back in some way. But we should remember also, when trying to focus our attention on the Lord, that Krishna doesn't only see what we're giving him. Krishna also sees what we're holding back behind us as well, trying to hide. Krishna will notice. The example is given, there's a man who's working for many, many years. He's continuously working, and every month he goes to the bank and he deposits a big portion of his salary for his retirement. So every single month he's doing this for many, 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 many years. He's depositing very diligently. And he thinks he's collecting a nice sum of money for his retirement. And then ultimately the time comes when he does retire. And he goes to the bank to now withdraw his retirement, and he finds that there's no money in his account. Because he was all these years depositing the money in the wrong account. So we have to understand that when we invest our devotion in something other than Krishna, we are making deposits into this wrong account. And when the time comes when we want to cash in, obviously there's nothing there, because we have not been investing in our relationship with Krishna. Of course, as Prabhupada says in the purport, we have our interaction with the world, we have our responsibility, we have our duty. And we do this for our maintenance, because this is what we are here to do. We have responsibility. But it's obviously done while being cognizant of Krishna. We must always be responsible in this way. It's like how someone who has a family, they work very hard to maintain their family, but they also must be with their family. It's not enough that they just work and save money, but they need time with their family as well. So we work for Krishna. We work in full remembrance and cognizance of Krishna, but our sadhana is when we are with Krishna. So both are important. And ultimately, Krishna's focus is not on our temporary wants and needs. Yes, Krishna always wants the devotee to be peaceful and happy and situated well in a position to do devotional service. But Krishna thinks long term. So Krishna has a mission, and Krishna's mission is to ultimately bring us back to him. So he is going to do what he has to do to bring you back. Whatever it is, he will put you in a situation, he will put some difficult person in your life that doesn't act in a way that you find appropriate for a specific purpose, but he will do what he has to do because Krishna has something for us, and that is not in this material world. Because as Varshana Swami says, Krishna loves us exactly as we are, but he loves us too much to let us stay this way. So I will stop there. Any comments, corrections, additions, chastisements?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I came a little late. You mentioned about investing and cashing in. So, when do we cash in? At the time of death, or while in a tenure of our devotional service? How do we cash in? Sometimes it's kind of, the statement kind of sounds, it's a kind of fruit of kind of mentality to it.
I think it's both. As we do more service and we invest more and more, Krishna, he doesn't wait for you to cash in. He just puts into your own account. He's like, here's all, and that's mercy, I think. Is that there's no point to cash in. What we receive is mercy from the Lord. And then obviously, as in the next life, Krishna's mercy on us is what sets our retirement up. Yeah. Anything else? No one? Okay. We'll stop there. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande. 22. 8:20.